Think back to a typical evening in the 1990s. Even when a family was just watching TV, like in this photo, they were physically and mentally present in the same room. The parents and kids were sharing a single experience, side by side. Today, that shared living room looks completely different. You might have 4 family members sitting on the exact same sofa, but mentally they are miles apart. The father is scrolling the news, the mother is streaming a show, the teenager is tapping through Instagram, and the toddler swiping through shorts. The room is dead silent, illuminated only by the blue light reflecting off their faces. This chart shows a survey of over 70,000 parents in urban India, and the numbers are stark. 66% report that their children are addicted to social media, streaming, or online games. That puts screen addiction right at the top of modern parenting anxieties. For a tired parent, handing over a smartphone is a convenient way to get 10 minutes of peace. The child goes quiet, and the adults can finally get some work done. But that silence hides a complex set of reactions occurring inside the child's developing brain, reactions that are only just beginning to be mapped. Medical consensus is incredibly strict on this issue. The World Health Organization, headquartered here, recommends exactly 0 minutes of screen time for children under 2 years old. Not an hour, not a few minutes to eat dinner, 0. Yet the reality inside our homes often ignores this warning. Recent data shows that children under 2 in India average 1.2 hours of daily screen time. For kids under 5, that number jumps to over 2 hours a day. We are conducting a massive, uncontrolled experiment on our youngest generation. To understand why pediatricians are sounding the alarm, we need to look past the tantrums and examine what daily digital convenience actually does to the way a child's brain is built. A lot of kids' content looks harmless on the surface, animated animals singing about letters and numbers, but if you watch closely, the scene changes every 2 to 3 seconds. The colors are artificially hypersaturated, and there is constant vibrating physical motion on the screen, even when the characters are standing still. This pacing is engineered to bypass a child's natural attention span. The rapid visual hits command their focus, and with every flash and sound effect, the brain releases dopamine, a chemical that makes the child feel intensely rewarded and engaged. This chart shows what happens when those spikes happen repeatedly. The brain eventually adapts to the flood of chemicals. This creates a condition called reduced reward sensitivity. The baseline drops, meaning the child now requires an unnatural amount of stimulation just to feel a normal sense of satisfaction. Because their baseline is now severely depleted, the slow, normal pace of the physical world starts to feel painfully boring. When parents try to take the device away, the child experiences genuine chemical withdrawal. They throw intense tantrums, bang their heads against the wall, and develop extreme difficulty focusing in quiet environments. These cartoons go far beyond simple entertainment. They effectively shift the brain's internal chemistry, creating a biological requirement for constant artificial stimulation. This chemical shift also derails how humans naturally learn to communicate. Infants don't learn language just by hearing words. They require two-way interaction, babbling back and forth with a parent, and they subconsciously study the complex, three-dimensional movements of human lips to figure out how to physically produce sounds. A screen cannot provide either of those things. It is entirely two-dimensional, making it impossible for a child to gauge lip and tongue mechanics. And when they watch cartoons, the animated mouth movements rarely match the actual physical mechanics of human speech. Without those visual cues, and without a human reacting to their attempts to speak, the child's language development stalls. Pediatricians are seeing a surge in toddlers who can only speak a few isolated words by age 3, displaying symptoms of social withdrawal and communication delays, a phenomenon researchers are calling virtual autism. A tablet can broadcast 1,000 words an hour to a toddler, but because it cannot listen, react, or look them in the eye, the crucial cognitive bridges required for social development are never built. This intense focus on the digital world forces the brain to neglect its physical surroundings. When a child is absorbed by a screen, activity dims in the parietal lobe, the region responsible for processing sensory information. This is why a child glued to a tablet won't look up or react if their mother falls down coughing right in front of them. As the brain tunes out the physical world, the body begins to suffer. Because kids are staring at near-field objects for hours instead of focusing on distant horizons in natural daylight, global rates of childhood myopia are soaring. Like the patient in this early eye exam, millions of kids are experiencing physical vision degradation, requiring glasses at younger and younger ages. The physical isolation is so complete that recent surveys have revealed a deeply unsettling metric. The average child in America today spends less time outdoors in the fresh air than incarcerated prisoners, who are mandated to get daily yard time. When a child's attention is entirely fixed on a screen, they begin to lose touch with their surroundings. From the focus of their eyes to their basic motor skills, the physical body starts to fall behind the digital pace. If this pattern continues into adolescence, the stakes get much higher. A 10-year-old who has spent their life isolated on screens is at a significantly higher risk for anxiety, depression, and social isolation. When real-life problems arise, they don't talk to people. They use their phones as a coping mechanism, spiraling deeper into loneliness. But we have to look closely at why they turn to the device in the first place. The screen gives them immediate attention, validation, and a sense of presence. It listens to their inputs and responds predictably. They are reaching for a screen because they are searching for the basic emotional connections they aren't finding in their physical environment. Yelling at a teenager or punishing a toddler for their screen time is counterproductive. The dependency is a biological symptom of an emotional void, and the screen is simply the most accessible tool they have to fill it. Reversing this trend requires structural changes at home. For infants and toddlers under 2 years old, medical experts recommend absolute zero screen time. No exceptions for feeding, no exceptions for a quick break. And up to age 5, digital access should be heavily restricted and supervised. None of those rules will work if the adults in the house are constantly staring at their own devices. Children learn through imitation. If they see you using a phone to escape, they will copy that behavior. To change their habits, you have to put your own phone away first. You can enforce this by creating designated screen-free zones in your house. Decide that the dining room and the bedrooms are strictly physical spaces. No phones at the table, no tablets in bed. By removing the digital option entirely from these areas, you force a return to actual conversation and physical interaction. Defeating engineered addiction means we have to stop treating technology as a parenting shortcut. It requires doing the difficult, messy, and necessary work of being present. We have to sit on the floor, play with blocks, and push our kids outside to run in the dirt, because a healthy mind can only be built in the real world.